question from your side on topics which we have discussed, these questions you can always post, right? And maybe at the end of the week, we can compile these problems and discuss in the classroom itself, right? So let's start discussing. So today we are going to discuss one of the important concept, or maybe important topic, which is related to all the topics which we have discussed till now, right? And this is something which we have hinted in the previous class also. This concept of schema, which is broadly we have discussed, and the purpose of the schema term or concept also we have highlighted that schema broadly signifies or broadly identifies the possible representation on the data and possible syntax or storage structure for the data which we are gathering, for which we are trying to create a database, right? So, and during this discussion of schema thing, we have mentioned that uh, schema broadly is a conceptual term. It is a conceptual notion, right? Whenever we say we have prepared a schema for the database, whenever we say we have prepared a schema for any solution, it means it is a theoretical part. We have not talked about implementation, right? So a schema gives you a conceptual understanding, conceptual representation, conceptual solution of a problem, of a scenario, right? But when we go for implementation, when we go for the actual implementation of the schema, it will become logical, right? Logical representation, logical entity. So whenever we are implementing a plan, whenever we are implementing a solution, during this implementation or during this preparation of solution, you will be applying some rule, you will be implementing some logic, you will be implementing some given constraints or given conditions, right? So all those set of conditions, rules, settings, logics, each and everything becomes one logical entity, which could be referred as a model, right? So like in the case of in this particular database system design, broadly schema gives you the conceptual view of the data, conceptual representation of the data. But when we are going to implement it, whenever we are going to design a database, it is the data model, it is the logical representation which gives you the actual output, actual view of the database designed, right? So that's why it is referred as a,
Sir,
yes, go ahead.
sir, some students are waiting for join.
Right. So,
Thank you,
okay.
sir.
So don't interrupt in between, right? That's what we have said. So basically, when we say data model is something which gives you the implementation view, or the view which has been implemented, right? So basically, during this database creation, actually, we are going to implement or maybe impose these conditions, right? So typically, if you see, schema is a conceptual term, and if you implement these impressions during the conceptual representation, these things are referred as a data model, and often it is assumed as a logical thing, logical impression, right? So it is broadly, or in a simplistic view, you can say data model is a implementation, or it is a typical version which can be implemented for the schema respective, right? So broadly, you can say whenever a question is raised to you that what is a data model, so you can simply say data model is a set of rules or set of properties which implements the schema, right? Which implements the schema. That's very important part, because schema is something which is the first drawn, then you are going to implement it. That's for sure. So now let's take example to understand what could be the possible things which we are capturing in logical schema, and what are the other things which are assuming our understanding in the conceptual schema design, right? So conceptual schema is the first thing, naturally. So if you take a database, like in the figure 1 it is shown, if you take a simple database, right? So we are assuming that database is equivalent to schema, and different database tables within a database, different database tables within a database are called sub-schemas, right? So we have two terminology here, database, and within database we can have multiple database tables, right? So schema and sub-schema, database and tables, right? So if you take a database maybe of company, company database is taken as example. So in this company database, if you take assume there are three possible tables, like employees could be one table, department could be one table, then department location could be another table, right? So if you assume, okay, we have this schema, within that there are three sub schemas. So what are the details which conceptual schema captures at this stage? That you should be understanding, right? So in a specific way, if you see here in a figure itself, where we are saying this is a conceptual schema of the database company, we have captured three different sub schema. So the first thing is that conceptual schema captures the names or name of the different schemas. So you can see employee name is given, department name is given, and this department location is given. So first and foremost, it captures all the possible names of the different sub schemas, right? Next thing is that it captures or it lists down the various properties or the attributes, right? So if you see here carefully, within each database table or within each sub schema, like for employee, we have listed all these attributes: first name, middle, initial, last name, SSN, which is a social security number, then birth date, address, gender, salary, super SSN, and D number. Similarly, for department, these different attributes or maybe properties of this particular sub schema are listed. Similarly, for department location. So the second thing which sub schema, which conceptual schema captures is the list of attributes or list of properties, right? And the next thing which basically is captured in the conceptual schema representation is it is the property of or the nature of each attribute, right? Nature of each attribute. So nature means what is the quality, what is the behavior of a specific attribute on the values, right? So when I say nature, it is with respect to values which will be pushed inside this particular attribute or property. So like uh, if you see here in the case of figure, carefully if you see in the employee table within SSN column, SSN attribute, it has been underlined. It means it has associated with some property. So whenever we will be inserting the data values on this particular table, employee, there is this property, there is this nature which is imposed on the SSN attribute. It will enforce some rule, it will enforce some condition, right? So in a generic way, in a database conceptual schema, whenever we underline attribute, it is referred as a primary key. Primary key is a kind of constraint, it is a kind of rule which says in this column SSN, in this attribute SSN, we will accept only unique values. We will accept a value, right? Two things. So unique and not null. So your this SSN column, SSN attribute will have a value, and this value should be unique, right? It is like having email ID, right? So for each and every employee, this email ID or this maybe his employee number will be unique, right? But for first name, we cannot have that because two person can have same first name. So if we are gathering the employee details, it is possible that two employees could have same first name, two employees could have same middle name, two employees or more than two employees can have similar last name, they could have same birthday, it's okay. They could have same address also. Sometimes gender is obviously more than two employees can have same gender. Salary value is naturally going to have similar, right? So it is not possible for each and every attribute, right? So we have to decide that okay, which particular attribute could be possibly unique for a certain database table, right? So it is very important to have this particular condition, that what is the nature of these values which we are going to push into these specific attributes. So it is again important, and it is clearly visible, it is clearly you can comprehend through the conceptually schema itself. Now the last thing is the relationship between attributes, or relationship between maybe sub schema also. It is clearly seen also. So let me write here. Uh, yeah. So if you correlate, if you can correlate, you can see here that we have kept we have kept in the figure. If you see the department number column or department number attribute on the employee table and D number attribute on department, both are related to show a relationship between these two tables, right? So these kind of relationships also needs to be mentioned, needs to be drawn, needs to be highlighted, right? That's what the conceptual schema is doing, right? So these are the four different details which needs to be reflected, which a particular conceptual schema is highlighting to the reader or to the person, right? So these are the four details only we are mentioning are clearly visible or clearly understood by the conceptual schema. Next is the actual implementation. So when we assume that conceptual schema has written, now we are going to implement a database. We are going to design a database. And whenever we are designing a database, it is sure that these first four details will be implemented, right? So whenever we are creating a logical schema, which is equivalent to data model, all right, so we will be going to create each and every detail, like you can see here in the figure 2. This first database table is of employee. There the same set of attributes are placed. Similarly for department, similarly for department location. But along with the possible set of attributes, we have captured the possible list of values also, right? So you can broadly see uh, a data model or maybe logical schema gives you an idea about the possible values along with the conceptual schema level details. So if you are going to implement a logical schema or going to create this logical schema in the database, it is for sure that it will simply implement the conceptual schema. That is first part. Second part, so when we say it is implementing the conceptual schema, it means it will ensure that all these things being created. So it is the attributes name, its property, its nature, and its relationship between the subschema should be reflected, should be created, right? And along with it, it will reveal, it will gives you an idea about the possible data, actual data values, which is referred as sometimes database state also, right? So broadly, if you see in the case of logical schema, it is the data values which are additional, right? So these two pictures are broadly highlighting these difference between two schemas. One is conceptual, then we have logical. In case of logical, we will have actual database values to give the actual idea that these are the values which system will be having, which database will be having, right? So after this, you should have a clear idea about that what is data model is. So data model is nothing, it is the actual implementation of conceptual schema. It will have values, it will have list of values on the listed or created conceptual schema details, right? That is for sure. So wherever we are saying we are creating the actual database system using data model, so it is not possible that we will have only one data model. So there are various data models are available. So if you see carefully, maybe if you list down carefully, there are broadly 11 different data models are available. So whenever we are creating a database based on the nature of the data which we are gathering, which we are dealing with, you should be carefully selecting a data model, right? Like if you are collecting the URLs, maybe in some cases it is required to collect the different data values, different data records as the URL. So suppose a task is given to you that you have to list down you have to extract the URLs. So keeping the URLs into the database, you cannot go for one specific model, right? That then you need different data models. If you are collecting the student details, you need different data model. If you are collecting the different information related to a certain database which is having a lot of images, lot of text data, then you have to go for different data models, right? So it is the nature of the different data content or different data objects which gives you an idea to decide a specific data model, right? So broadly means most of the cases there are 11 different models available, different data models available. including from, starting from hierarchical data model, which was the earliest data model, maybe designed or maybe proposed during early 80s, actually, in the first generation itself. Then they have realized, okay, let's have network model also. So in our systems or PC laptops, where we are having this file system based organization for the storage, this hierarchical data model is adapted, right? So whatever concepts it is giving, like you can have all these files in our systems arranged in a hierarchical fashion, right? So after some time, it has been realized there are some limitation in the hierarchical data model. Then this new data model has been proposed, right? It is again having some property. After that, they have realized maybe mid 90s or maybe early 90s, there is this data model which is called relational data model proposed, and it is proposed by a scientist named as E.F. Code. And most of the things which we will be studying in this semester in this course are coming from or related to the relational data model itself. And if you take this privilege, you can directly say this whole discussion in our course will be based on uh, a specific concept related to relational data model, right? So that's what we are assuming, and whatever database we create using relational data model is referred as a relational database. That is for sure. Similarly, for other data model also, if you create any database or database for your application using object-oriented data model, it will become object-oriented database. And if you go for XML, so like for the scenario where we are having a lot of URLs to process, URLs to store, naturally you will be going for XML data model architecture. So XML database it will become, right? So for each data model, there are some conditions. These conditions will be imposed on the database design step, right? So similarly, for each data model, you can have different DBMS also, right? You cannot say that each DBMS system, any DBMS system will be good for operating with any data model or any data model database, right? So with this, let's see how to select. So this is what we have mentioned also. So like for a specific data type, like we have said, a data could be of three types: broadly structured, unstructured, and semi-structured. So by keeping the nature of the data content, like in case of structure, the data content will be, you can easily separate them. These details could be atomic in nature. So for the structured database, you can go for a specific data model. Similarly, for semi-structure, you could go for a specific type of data model. So similarly, for unstructured, the specific data model like XML is good. You can go for the XML data model for in case of unstructured data, right? So you have to be carefully understand that, okay, what is the nature of data objects which we are collecting, and which model is able to take care of that nature of my data, right? So this is a very specific or very elementary information about it, right? So after getting into all these data models, they have proposed this relational data model, and they assume that in most of the cases, or most of the data objects, it is the relational model which easily fits into, right? So that's why our focus, or maybe that's why it is targeted to understand the relational data model and its most nature, because in most of the data objects, it is the relational data model which fits easily, right? So whenever we have given a task to design a database, and we are assuming that we are going to create a database using relational data model, so we need to understand that what is the effect will have, whatever is the possible rules and condition will be imposed on the case of relational data model, right? So there are three properties, you can read here, there are three properties which will be imposed whenever we are creating a database using relational data model. So as the term says, relational data model. So in this particular instance, this relational term is very important. So whenever we say relational, it means the data objects will be related. Though in the real life, in the real world, whenever say this is my first name, this is my middle name, this is my last name. We assume that each and every detail, first name, middle name, last name are related, right? Similarly for the date of birth also. So if you see onto the database, or if you see on any kind of details, you assume that each and everything is related. Like in the previous case, when we have seen this data in the figure 2, whenever we see on the database instance for the employee, we assume that the John first name is this. So each and every detail which are listed in the first row, first tuple, is related to one single individual in the real world, right? Similarly, for the second row represents to the another person in the real world. Third row represents to the third real world person. Like similarly in the department table concern, the first row in the department table indicates to one of the department object in the real world, right? So this is how we assume that data could be possibly captured, data should be possibly maintained. So this relational data model also implements this same understanding on the data, right? So whenever we say I'm going to design a database, and this database will be based on a relational data model, it means these three things. It means these three conditions to be ensured, right? So first, it is very obvious whenever we are adapting or having data model as a relational data model for the database design, the data will be organized in a structured way. That is very sure. It will be organized and stored in a structured way. That's the something which is obvious here, right? The first thing which it says, the first thing which it implements is the data which we are keeping in the relational data model, it will be shown to the user in the form of tabular or maybe form of tables, right? It is the same version which we have just seen. So in case of relational data model, it is the data uh, tables which can be or which will be used to show the user, right? So whenever we retrieve a data and database has been designed in relational data model, the data will be pushed onto the tables form. That is the very obvious and strict one single view. So in case of hierarchical data model, we could have different view. In case of tabular data model, it is different. In case of XML data model, it is different view, right? So similarly, in the case of relational data model, it is the table view for the data which is considered, which is used, right? That you should be always stick with. It is not possible, it is not fit for each and every data model. Each and every data model will have different view for the data. So whenever I say view, it means it is respect to the user's perception. This is how we are pushing the data to user. So in case of relational data model, it is the tables view. Similarly, there is one strong property which needs to be implemented. So relational data model applies only one single property on the database creation. So whenever we are creating a database using relational data model, it is the property of uniqueness which needs to be implemented or which needs to be implemented, right? And it means whenever say what is the property of uniqueness, it means that each row will be uniquely created. So each row on a specific table, each row will be unique, right? So this looks very obvious also because we are saying that schema or database is capturing the real world entity, real world person into the database. So in the real world, each and every individual is unique. So your database system also should have this provision, should have some condition, should have some property which makes sure that there will be no two rows, no two tuples will be same, right? And that's what the simply property of uniqueness ensures also. So the whole theory of relational data model is based on this single property, right? So let's go back to the database instead and understand what is the mean of this. So it means you can see in the particular table called employee, no two rows will be same, right? No two rows. Like the first row, you say the row of John Smith is having some set of values. Similarly, second row is having some set of values. So property of uniqueness says that there should be no two tuples which will have same exact values, right? In the database, it is possible that two tuples can have similar values. It is possible, right? But this property of uniqueness ensures that no two tuples will be of same values. That's the simplistic thing, right? So this holds for the each and every database tables. Like for employee, we have talked. Similarly, for department, this should be hold. No two department entries or tuples or rows of the same values. Similarly, for department location also, right? So to implement or to ensure these property of uniqueness, they have introduced, they have means the person who has proposed this relational data model, they have proposed these constraints, concept of constraints, integrity constraints. So they have proposed 5 different constraints, and is to ensure this property of uniqueness, right? How to ensure that this at least few things are into the table which makes it a unique, which makes each and every tuple unique. So the first thing they have proposed as a primary key, then there is another concept called not null key, then they have proposed unique key, then check, then default. So these are the 5 different concepts of keys, right? 5 different keys, 5 different constraints to implement this simple uniqueness property, right? So if you see here now, again, let's go back to the database instance. You can see here in this particular figure, let's take this instance of employee itself. So here we have post one of the attribute called assistant, and it is underlined. And underlining means we are assigning some property to this attribute, due to which at least this column will have unique values, and due to this uniqueness on this column itself, this makes sure that at least due to this attribute each and every tuple will be unique. So because here we are having a database table which is having more than 8 or 9 attributes, it is possible that we are having a smaller size of table where only 3-4 attributes possible. So on that case, there is possibility of repeating the tuples. There is possibility that due to some similar values, the tuple may be repeated. In that case, you have to make sure that you have to introduce a tuple, or you have to introduce a attribute which makes each and every row and tuple unique, right? So this primary key, which is the first key into the set of integrity constraint, is the first nature of first provision, you can say, in this relational data model, which helps you to achieve this uniqueness. Similarly, there is another constraint which gives you some sort of help to achieve it, which is not null. So we are going to discuss these all 5 constraints and their natures, their property and their effects in the upcoming classes, maybe lecture number 6 or 7, right? So as we are going towards the creation of data, because from the next lab onwards, we are going to discuss, we are going to explain you the different steps, different approaches, or maybe some logical examples also, through which you can create a database. And while creating the database, you will be using these constraints, right? Because eventually objective is to achieve this property of uniqueness, right? So that is very simplistic view. So whenever a question is raised to you that what is a relational data model, right? So you can simply say relational data model is a data model which ensures or which implements the property of uniqueness on the database by using different integrity constraints, right? So this term relational itself says you will have this property of uniqueness on the database by these uniqueness or these integrity constraints. So whenever a database is given and you are creating or implementing or designing a database using relational data model things, naturally you are going to do something with integrity constraints, and the outcome will be called a relational database, right? So here you have a basic database, I mean collection of similar kind of records, and if you are going to create a syntax or a database using relational data model, it is referred as a relational data model, RDB, right? And if the database management software which you are using, it is also based on relational data model concept, it is called RDBMS, right? And if you take this instance, most of the Oracle based products, like Oracle based DBMS, are based on relational data model concepts. They are imposing these keys and these constraints, right? And primarily they are there to support the relational data model system. So that is it for today's discussion, right? If you have anything to ask right now, you just let me know, because we have partially touched upon this concept called data model. We have discussed the property of relational data model, and what are the things it needs to be ensured, like property of uniqueness. So these three properties and its implication, its implementation, we will be discussing in details on the maybe